It's crazy. Like, how often do you see this in the opening? Like, I played queen f3, queen a3, and now I might even take on d6. Like, what? That's freaking awesome. This is round 4 of the Central Pennsylvania Championship, and I am playing a 1900 Zane. I played him once before. I beat him, and I'm going to try to beat him again. I'm entering this round with 2.5 out of 3, so I'm hoping to keep the momentum going and try to get first place in this tournament. And yeah, so I start off with e4, and my opponent plays c5. This is game in 60, delay 5. Tournament details in the description below. I do not use the engine until at the very, very end of this recap. So hopefully we both learn something through this process of sharing our games. Okay, so I played knight c3, he plays knight c6, and I play bishop e5. So very normal moves. I bring my knight out, he brings his knight out, I bring my bishop out. And I like to play this a lot. If my opponent plays d6 or g6 or anything, I usually like to take on c6 and rebuild. You know, I gave up my light square bishop, and I'm going to rebuild on the light squares and maybe even play f4. And I've played a lot of these positions before, so I'm very comfortable in them. Zane does not allow me to take on c6. He goes at knight d4 and attacking my bishop. I could retreat my bishop to d3 or e2 or even a4, maybe. Maybe. But I just decided to play knight f3, continue developing. I have 3 pieces out. He only has 1. So I'm ahead in development. And he plays g6. And this is a move that I've studied this position a little bit. And I've played this position in some online games, but I've never had this over the board, and I was really excited because this move order allows me to get a decent position with the move bishop c4, voluntarily moving my bishop. Like, usually I only move my bishop if my opponent plays move a6 and I move it back, but now after g6 I voluntarily move my bishop with the idea that after bishop g7 I play knight takes d4. And after pawn takes, my knight's attack, so I have to move it, except I don't. I counterattack the f7 square. So if he takes, it's simply checkmate, of course. And if he plays knight of 6, I'm going to go d5. And if he takes, I'm just going to take back, and he has to move his knight. And maybe I'll even castle queenside and play very aggressively. Or if he plays knight h6, then I will move my knight back. Knight h6 guards the knight here, or guards the pawn here. And yeah, like, it's just a very aggressive way to play. I mean, whenever you can bring your queen out to f3 and you know it's good, I mean, that's always kind of fun to do. But Zane actually plays e6, which it always feels a bit weird to play a move like e6 in an opening where you play g6, because now you got the Swiss cheese set up around the king, so it doesn't feel that great. And now I'm able to play the move knight b5. So if he plays the move knight f6, for example, then I can play knight d6 check, and after the king moves anywhere, I play e5, and the knight is pinned to the pawn here, because if the knight moves, then simply queen takes f7 would be checkmate, no matter if the king went to e7 or f8. So black has to be very, very careful here. So knight on b5 eyes this d6 square, and black isn't ready to castle yet. So Zane plays d6, guarding, moving the pawn. So now his queen guards d6 now. But now I'm able to add an attacker and play the move queen a3. And it's crazy. Like, how often do you see this in the opening? Like, I played queen f3, queen a3, and now I might even take on d6. Like, what? That's freaking awesome. And Zane plays bishop f8 to guard the pawn. But the issue with bishop f8 is, what was the bishop doing on g7? It was guarding the d4 pawn, but already there's a lot of pressure here. How do you defend? And I just take the pawn. So because he played bishop f8, I'm able to take this pawn, and I'm simply up a pawn in the opening. It's move 10, and I have a good position. The thing is, I'm not only up a pawn, but his pieces are still on the back rank. I have 3 pieces developed. All of his pieces are on the back rank, and so this is good news gravy. Like, this is awesome. Another move that he could have done, which he said he wished he did, or he wished he thought about during the game, was bishop e5. It guards the pawn with the bishop in front of his other pawns, but bishop e5 still doesn't lead to a good position for black because of move d3, and now I'm threatening f4, kicking the bishop away and taking the knight. And even if he plays a move like a6, for example, I can still play f4 because he's not threatening to take, because I can take here and after takes and takes, white is up in exchange. And if he plays g5 to stop f4, then I can play the move c3. And if he takes, I play d4. And I'm ripping everything open. And if he takes this pawn, then after takes and he moves his bishop back, like, bro, I got the bees lined up. My knight's in his business. This is not good. Like, this is not good. This is bad news bears. So, point is, this position is already very, very difficult for black here. So, and he's simply down a pawn. He sets up a little bit of a trap. He plays bishop d7. You cannot, when playing d5, attacking the bishop and attacking the queen at the same time, it looks like it's winning, but it's not, because of bishop b5 check. And after the bishop blocks, then we play queen d3. We defend the pawn. We defend the bishop. If you take, then we could probably take and take here. And white is still up a pawn. And we're even ahead in development. We have 2 pieces out. He only has 1. So in the position, I'm simply up a pawn. He plays bishop d7. So now if I get lazy and I just castle, then d5 is simply winning because I do not have bishop b5 check, because the bishop blocks the diagonal. So I have to, so I decide to move my queen out of the way. And now I play queen g3. Because I want to leave the f3 square open for my knight. I actually think for a while here. I think we're about 8 minutes. I think we're about 8 minutes on this one move, queen g3. Because I really wanted to play this move, queen f3. But I was like, after queen b6 attacking the knight, I could go c3, but then bishop g7 attacking this knight twice. I was like, I have to go back. And I'm like, but then knight f6, and I'm like, is this really what I want to play? The pro of queen f3 is that he cannot go e5 because of checkmate. That's the pro. But I doubt he was going to play it. And I decided queen g3 was a bit better, because now, after queen b6, I can rotate my knight back to c3. I was thinking about going pawn to c3, but once again, bishop g7, and I was like, I have to move it back anyways. And I'm not sure if the inclusion of this pawn to c3 was good or bad or neutral. And because I would love, in an ideal world, I would get d4 and then like e5 in. And I win connect 4, which is pretty cool. But I don't think he's going to allow me to do that because this pawn is hanging. So the fact that this e4 pawn is hanging is a little bit annoying. And so I decided to after queen b6, immediately drop the knight back to f3, and then after bishop g7, play d3. That was kind of what I was thinking of. Another important thing to note is that he kind of has to go queen b3, because if he goes bishop g7 immediately, then he hangs the d6 pawn. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So you have to go queen b6. So I just decided to go back and here, and I play castles. I play castles in the position. I don't play d3. After knight f3, now I play d3. Well, not d4, d3, defending my pawn with another pawn. He plays rook c8. So if I get lazy and I play a move like bishop d2, then knight takes, e4 is his idea, because after pawn takes, rook takes c4, and all the pawns are hanging. Like all of them. All the pawns are hanging. So that's why after rook c8, I play bishop b3. Not only does it make the tactic not work of knight takes e4, but it also blocks the queen's vision on the b2 pawn. So now I can potentially move my bishop freely without having to worry about queen takes b2. That being said, this knight moving and the bishop attacking this b2 pawn is definitely an idea. So maybe I do actually want to play the move c3 at some point to just blunt this bishop on this diagonal. He castles. He could maybe try a move like knight h5, attacking the queen and opening up the bishop, but I don't think it leads to anything. But I was a little bit worried about it. Like, I had to calculate this. That was one of the things I had to calculate before playing queen g3, was that, hey, after I move my knight to f3, like, is my queen getting trapped at all? And my conclusion was no. For example, I can go queen g5, And if h6, I could just go back to e3, and I'm offering a queen trade, and life is good. Nothing is wrong. But I did have to keep that in mind. Like, for example, if he played h6 here, and let's say I played a move like rook e1, knight h5 is very, very scary for me. I don't have this g5 square. I don't have f4. And if queen h5, there's bishop f6 guarded by the knight. And my queen is very, very close to being trapped. And in this case, I think it is. I think it is trapped, which is crazy. So there's some ideas of like h6 here, trapping my queen. But if h6, I probably would have gone queen f4 voluntarily to just get my queen out of this corner. Or maybe I would play something else. I'm not 100% sure. But I did have to keep in mind the fact that my queen was short of squares. That's for sure. He castles. I go bishop e3, developing my bishop with tempo and asking his queen, where you going, pal? Where you going? If you go queen a5, then you blunder the d6 pawn. If you go queen a6, your queen feels a bit off center here. So the most natural move is queen c7, lining up on the c2 pawn, but also defending your d6. Oh, whoops! Also defending your d6 pawn as well. It definitely feels pretty natural. And now I play the move queen h4. I thought about this move for a decent bit. I think actually, yeah, maybe at least a few minutes on this move. Queen h4, eyes h6. So maybe I can play bishop h6 next, or I can play bishop g5. Actually, in this position, I actually had a huge debate. Do I play queen h4 now, or do I throw bishop e3 to tickle his queen? And I actually decided to tickle his queen. But anyways, so queen h4, eyes h6, eyes f6, and I think it also prepares potentially to like go here and go knight g5, and just add a lot of pressure on the king side here. I'm going to try to attack him. He plays knight h5, and which is not like a surprising move or anything, but I found this really, really nice resource. One thing to keep in mind is what his plan is. He wants to get in f5 and open up his pieces and get his rook into the game. But that's potentially one of his ideas, for sure. One of his ideas. But in the position, I play the crazy move, g4. G4. And his knight has not many squares to go to except for f6. He could have played a move like bishop f6, counterattacking my queen with his bishop. But then I could play the move knight g5. And if he moves his knight back, then it's checkmate. So he'd probably have to take my knight, and then I take back, and then then his knight is hanging. And if he goes f6 to counterattack my bishop, then I could take. Oh, then I could take. Then he could take. Then I could take. And I was very happy with this position. My queen, my pawn, my bishop were all lined up towards the king here. So I was very, very happy with this. So his position looks very, 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 very scary here. And yeah, he ends up not playing bishop f6, counterattacking. He ends up just going knight f6. And like, it was beautiful. Like in this position, like I had to calculate all of this to make sure I was winning everything. But g4, knight f6, I play bishop g5. And the knight, once again, has very little squares to go to. It can't go in the center. It can't go over here. It can't go back to g8 or h7. So the only square for it to go is e8. And of course, it only has one defender, the bishop. And if you add the queen to defend the knight, well, now e5. And your knight's pinned because of the bishop. So after pawn takes, knight takes, like all of white's pieces are participating. And you can never kick the bishop out with a move like h6 because I can just take. So this is maximum activity here. And actually the knight on e5, I'm threatening to take on d7 because it would deflect the queen away from the defense of the f6 knight. And I'm just throwing the kitchen sink. Like probably here he would have to play the move bishop c6. But his knight is forever in this pin. And this is awfully uncomfortable for black here. I don't know what the best way to continue would be. But white is for choice. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay. So he doesn't play queen d8. He plays knight d8. And like this, I don't want to, how should I put this? He blundered a pawn early on, or got into a position that was so bad that like it feels necessary to blunder a pawn, because like the position is really hard to play. And he knew his position was bad and like losing, so he was playing fast and he was making all the moves very, very fast because he wants to put pressure on me on the clock. Like if he can't put pressure on me on the board, I'm the one that has to prove an advantage. So he's putting pressure on me on the clock. So I don't want to say like he's a bad player or anything. He had a bad opening and is trying to play fast to compensate for that. That's one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, he plays knight e8. And I just play bishop e7 and his rook is trapped. But the thing is, he takes my pawn, counterattacking my rook. But I have zero intention on taking this rook. When I played bishop g5 to bishop g7, or bishop e7, I had no intention to take his rook. Because now, after he took my pawn, I have knight g5. And the game's over. I'm threatening checkmate. He cannot push his pawn anywhere because my g-pawn controls h5 and my queen controls h6. So there's really no possible way for him to defend. He ends up delaying the inevitable with h5, but I just take it. He goes knight f6. I think the idea is that if I take this pawn, then after he takes back, his knight guards against checkmate. And if I take his knight, removing the defender, then rook takes check. Oh, whoops. Rook takes check here, and there's no mate because of the rook, and the king gets out miraculously. So that's his idea. But after knight f6, I just take it. So then now after bishop takes, I play h6, g6. And I'm threatening checkmate with defended by both the knight and the bishop. So if you take the pawn, it's mate. And what he did in the game was take the knight. It's still mate. And that was the game. So I feel like I did a good job of opening up the attack here. Because like, what else does he do? Like, if he doesn't take this b2 pawn, like, what does he do? If he plays a move like bishop c6, maybe this is his best shot. Yeah, maybe this is the best shot now that I think about it. But honestly, my bishop isn't even threatened. It's well guarded. Maybe I can play the move. I don't even know what move to play, to be honest. I could probably take the rook. And then after bishop takes or king takes, let's say king takes. Oh, wait, no, king takes blunders the pawn. I guess bishop takes. I can play the move of c3. So after bishop d4, I can move my rook over and play d4 maybe and build my pawns on the dark squares. It's a good question on what I should do. But I am up an exchange and a pawn at the very least. Although this position a lot more work is going to be needed to be done. Maybe there's another way to keep the attack going, but bishop c6 was probably the most stout defense, I guess, opening an attack on the bishop. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the best way to defend is. But he does end up taking the pawn, and I do end up checkmating him. And yeah, so it was a nice game. I don't checkmate everybody every day. And yeah, I think I played well. The opening went exactly how I wanted it to be played out, and yeah, I think I played well, and I ended this round with 3.5 points out of 4, and yeah, there's one other person, Peter Minear, who was entering the last round with 4 points out of 4, but there was another person with 3.5 points out of 4 who's higher rated than me, so he played Peter Minear in the last round. And so I'm playing down. I'm playing someone who has 3 points. And I play an 1890 rated person in the last round. And I guess we'll find out what happened in the next video. So I'm going to run game review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.